don't be afraid to set your own standard. And, keep in mind that the most important judge of success for what you're doing is yourself. You define what success looks like for yourself. You define the level of performance that would, say, okay, this is good. This is good for me. And it's good because I say it's good, because it meets and exceeds my own expectations. So going back, I wish I had learned that a lot sooner.
Welcome to the Las Vegas IT podcast. My name is Shaytoya, and today I have the pleasure to be speaking to Antoinette, who is a e-commerce senior application developer manager. Hey, Antoinette, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. I'm super excited to get to know you a little bit better today. Can you just tell us a little bit about your journey into technology?
Sure. So I started out as a secondary language arts teacher. This is like in my early 20s. So like teaching high school English basically. And I really liked it. But the place where I was working as a temp. And they had, that particular school had like let go of all of their temps. So I was looking for something else. And I kind of just found a job at a company that did e-commerce. That's all they did. They sell sporting goods online. And so I started at that company, just helping them list their products online. And then I worked with that company for several years, and they offered a tuition reimbursement program. And they said, is there anything else you would like to learn about? And I kind of just picked, I had like a bachelor's degree in English and history. So I just picked computer science because it seemed interesting. And that became my career.
Got it. And so I guess that's what kind of inspired you to do the application development, is with the company that are you currently employed?
Yes, I am currently employed, but that was with I've been in e-commerce for a long time, like over 20 years. So that was over 20 years ago. And, e-commerce has developed a lot in the last couple of decades. So when I first started, it was like a new thing. And, a lot of companies were coming into it. You were having to build your own site because there weren't necessarily a whole lot. Like now, if you want to open an e-commerce site, you might just jump on Shopify, or you might go to Wix, or there's 1,000 different ways you can do it. Maybe you just sell your products directly through Amazon or eBay or another marketplace. At that time, those platforms were just beginning, and a lot of them didn't even exist back then. So it really was like very much a hands-on product management, hands-on, development, getting things listed online. A lot of like hands-on work to do that. So a lot more involvement in the technical side and getting things set up.
Got it. And all that totally makes sense. And with that, I'm guessing your job has changed since there's been so much changes.
Yeah, well, the industry has changed. When I first started, and, this was a long time ago, I also would help organize an event for third-party sellers on Amazon to just improve their business. And one of the things we would do is host meetings out in Seattle, and some of the Amazon team would come and meet with the sellers. And I remember like Jeff Bezos would lead some of the sessions, and he said at the time, like when he first started Amazon, people thought it was a miracle just that they could do something on their computer and products would show up on their doorstep. So like when e-commerce was first coming out, people were just impressed with anything because it was the equivalent of having the Sears catalog. I mean, I don't know how old everybody is, but I remember the old days back when Sears used to mail a catalog. You could flip through the pages and you would mail in your order with your payment, and then they would mail your stuff back to you. But it was a long and slow process. And so with e-commerce, that model just shifted to speed things up a little bit. So now the industry has changed so much, like it's a fully developed industry now, where people have expectations about how things are supposed to work. And there are existing platforms that help people sell, existing platforms that help people buy. The payment industry has expanded so much from now and then. Back then, PayPal was still kind of in its early days. All of these wallet solutions were in their early days. So the industry has really flourished. And, obviously, as the industry has changed, what I do has changed.
No, and we've all became very spoiled, and we expect what we expect. So that's so awesome. And you've also worked in both software engineering and quality engineering. How do these two disciplines complement each other in your role?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? In quality
Of
engineering?
course. Yeah.
Yes. So I think, I think they go hand in hand. It's just like any other industry as it develops, people have a lot, stricter expectation about the final deliverable. And so, quality engineering and software engineering has always existed. But I think with the expansion of, now a lot of software products are actually delivered direct to web users. I don't remember the last time I actually went into a store, like into a Best Buy, and got a box of software off the shelf, got some kind of, distributable media like CD or DVD or, whatever, and put it, actually inserted in my computer and installed it. So now the concept that we have of like shipping software really means instant, very fast delivery. So with that, then you need instant, very fast quality controls. This long testing cycle, this, idea that everything has to be perfect before you ship it because you can't easily retract a shipment or reverse a shipment, goes out the window. So I think, tying those two together, really it's about staying in sync and being able to move very fast with what you deliver.
Understood. And so thank you for sharing that, Antoinette. And then what was your transition like from a senior application developer to a manager? What are some of the key skills that helped you step into leadership?
I would say like it's a gradual thing. One of the things that was most important to me as a developer, as you kind of just grow older and the industry goes older, is making sure that the people I work with, like the people on my team, are satisfied with our working conditions, satisfied with our final product. We take pride in what we do. We feel confident and comfortable to move on from one project to the next. And in doing that, I think we really, like you need someone to support that aspect of it. And so the transition from senior to manager is not that big of a leap because a lot of times as a senior developer, you're already supporting that aspect of the team's productivity. And so from the standpoint of manager, you're doing that, you're just dedicating more time to it. And I still write code all the time. I still, am very much involved in the technical aspect of things, but also involved in supporting my teammates and making sure we all feel confident and comfortable as we move forward delivering high quality work.
Got it. And I guess how are some ways that you support your colleagues?
So it just depends. I mean, you have to meet people where they are. So it's not like there is a way to do it. The best way to do it just depends on the person you're working with. So, some people on the team, they're looking to grow their skills. And in that case, you're supporting them with additional training, with mentorship, with opportunities to gain certifications and things like that. Other people on the team, they've done this for a long time. They're looking to gain new skills because, we're always growing and always expanding. They don't need a lot of hand holding. So in that case, the best way to support them is say, hey, I'm here if you need anything, but I trust you. I got your back. I support your decisions because of your, experience and your capabilities. So, just what you need to do depends so much on the person that I can't say it's one thing. But I think the biggest thing you can do is have a good rapport with your teammates and have an empathetic response for, whatever their needs might be.
Got it. Understood. And what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in your position and then also scaling large platforms like, where you're currently at? Like what are some of the things that you've faced? What are challenges?
The biggest challenges, so there's a couple different directions. One is like fast scalability, fast delivery. So, we, have auto scaling capabilities where, maybe you need to add, one server is failing, you need to quickly swap in something else. So a lot of that with cloud technologies has been automated, but you still have like auto scaling of features. A lot of times you have one feature that was intended to operate at X number of transactions per day. Let's say it's 10,000 transactions a day. Well, if now all of a sudden you need it to operate at 50 or 100, what's the best way to, rapidly allow that feature or that, just to serve an increased number of transactions or an increased number of users. And then after that demand goes away, to also be able to scale back down. So that's one challenge. Also, talent is another challenge, finding the right kind of talent for what we do. A lot of times, especially over as time goes, e-commerce has become highly specialized. And so maybe as you're filling gaps, you're looking for people who can do something that's highly specialized and highly specific. And even if they don't have experience in that one specific thing, looking for people that can take their skills in another area and transfer it into something new. So, there's always something going on. When you have a large company, there's always going to be something new, something challenging. And I think that's really what I love about working at, a medium or large size company.
Got it. And how are some of the ways that you guys find these applicants?
So fortunately, we have a great talent team. We also work with, really great placement agencies. So, it really is every possible way we can. And then the organization I work for has a great community outreach. So they go to a lot of local universities to bring in, new talent that's coming in, as well as, go in the traditional places to look for, more mature talent.
Understood. And then, so what are some of the, when it comes to Magento is a powerful but complex platform, what are some of the best practices you've implemented for optimizing order management across multiple web properties?
Oh, so, yes. So we use Magento, and I've been working with Magento for a really long time. And, it has matured. Now we think of Magento as the open source version of the Adobe Commerce platform. And, as a component of their, cloud suite of tools. So, watching that, I guess, grow and expand, what are best practices for that? One, if you are looking for a platform that is basically designed for you to customize, Adobe Commerce or Magento is a good fit for that. So best practices would be make sure that you are following your software engineering bests. So these are like going way back to software engineering theory that you might have learned back in college, and applying those here, not repeating your code, keeping things simple as possible, including unit tests with your code, and on to paying attention to what kind of architecture you're trying to follow, pay attention to what frameworks you're using, pay attention to your dependency injection and dependency management. So, the basics are absolutely there. And because with Adobe Commerce and Magento, you can self-host, you can use cloud hosting, but still, make your own extensions. Because of that, you have to, sort of take all those software engineering principles and apply them here. So I would say, those are best practices. The best practices for using Adobe Commerce are the best practices for software engineering anywhere else. It's the same.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing that. When it comes to trends, is there any current trends that you're currently seeing right now?
Across e-commerce or specifically
Yes,
for
across
e-commerce engineering?
E-commerce.
Oh gosh. So that is, are there any trends? There's every trend. And I think the most exciting trend that I'm seeing right now is what I would call like social e-commerce. So, and this is something that has really grown in like the last 5 years is, like for reaching out to consumers via community. So this would be like the ability to buy your products while you're on an influence page on TikTok and you're able to buy the product that you see on there right away, or you're able to interact more directly with brands. People a lot of times have a relationship with a retailer. Maybe you shop at Macy's or maybe you shop at Walmart or Target or whatever, but you are accustomed to having that relationship with a retailer. Even Amazon.com is a retailer. And then now what we see is a lot more relationship with brands. Like consumers are more comfortable going to brands through social media about transactions that they've had. So I think that's a great trend. And then the ability of content creators to sort of serve as gateways to e-commerce directly is like a huge trend. Content creators building a community around their content and either serving as influencers, that's one path, or directly building a shop out of their products is another huge trend. And then on the technical side, definitely what we call like headless e-commerce has sort of become dominant among our major e-commerce competitors. And, the number one thing there is speed and the longevity of the application. And then as we see more applications breaking out from like this big monolith application into things that are we would consider composable, where it's like, okay, maybe you have your shopping cart with one service, maybe you have your search with another service, and it really allows you to completely customize every aspect of what you would like to deliver, the experience you like to deliver to your end user, your consumer, without having to literally build out every component separately. So you can have best in class for every single touch point that you have with your consumer.
Understood. And then when it comes to like, how do you balance the demands of development, quality engineering, and business needs to ensure projects stay on track?
So to me, there is no balance. The business need always comes first. And to me, it's just about professionalism. It's just like any other service. If you go get a haircut, you would assume that when you're getting a haircut, you're sitting in the chair. The person who's like cutting your hair is a professional. So they're supposed to put your needs first. It doesn't matter how they would like to see your hairstyle. It's how you would like to see your hairstyle. And, I feel like that's the same when you go to buy something in a store, right? You're looking for a certain experience and you're engaging with, someone because you feel like they can meet your needs. So to me, business needs have to come first. Now, depending on what the business is asking for, you have to set expectations as to what's realistic. You can't have the sun, the moon, and the stars with a 24-hour turnaround time. So the answer, to can we do this is almost always yes. Yes, we can. The answer to should we do this is a way more complex question. So when you're trying to balance, it's, balancing like what we can do with what we should do, given the available resources, the time, the importance of the business need. But I think that as long as the business knows that this is a partnership, you have a shared goal with your business users, then, you start out on the same page and you stay on the same page. So if the timeline needs to expand or extend, they find out if they have that flexibility and you work within what they need.
Got it. And then how do you, I guess, know that flexibility or know what the business truly actually needs instead of just the wants?
So to me, a want is a need because I just trust that the business users know what will serve them best. The trick is then helping them articulate their needs in a way that the technical team says, I think we can do this. And then sometimes getting down to whether it's is a need that can or should be met with technology versus a need that is more about business process and about how you're using the technology you have. And so that just comes from having a great working relationship with your business partners.
Got it. That makes sense. And then when it comes to the strategies, do you guys foster for innovation within your team?
In terms of innovation, I feel like as e-commerce has started to mature, innovation is important, but because consumer expectations have grown over time, to be more specific, I think the goal really is to meet or exceed your consumer expectations. So when we're looking to innovate, it's not just about being new and different. It's about how does this serve the consumer better? If the consumer wants a faster experience, if the consumer wants, faster service, are we providing automation that can provide that faster service? If the consumer wants an easier search experience, like we maybe have people that are searching for things on the site that aren't surfacing, we're not surfacing the content as easily or as fast as they would like, then the innovation is around how we can build a better experience for the consumer.
Got it. That makes sense. And then one of the big topics that we've been talking about for months is AI. So how do AI and automation play a role within your work?
It's hugely important because a lot of e-com is repetitive, and problems that computers can solve easily, machines can solve easily with AI or even with automation are things that are repetitive. So, the process, if you shop on Amazon or you shop on any other e-com site, the process to buy the product is usually very repetitive. You go to some page that lists a lot of products You find one that you like by clicking, and then you click on that product. You see details about that product. And at that point, you either choose to buy the product and add it to your cart, or maybe you say, this isn't what I thought, you back out and you repeat that process. Once you've added something to cart, you enter your shipping information, your payment information, and off you go. So where automation helps in that is like, let's say I have one product to list or 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 products to list. The automation comes in and getting those products listed quickly. And because that is so repetitive, it can be done with, your basic robotic automation that we don't think of as AI. So, in terms of listing the product. And also in terms of consumers, like where are consumers using automation in things like wallets? Maybe you have your Apple Pay or, Google Pay or PayPal wallet that you use. That's a form of automation. And then, so where does AI come into that? I see AI a lot in search. So AI is good at understanding the intent of the user, because sometimes how users use language or behavior to convey intent can vary, but the intent is the same. So an example of that would be in search. Like maybe I'm looking for a blue shirt. So I might put in blue shirt, or maybe I put in aqua top, or maybe I put in, like sexy marine blouse or something like that. But the intent is the same. And when I enhance it with additional content, like I say, oh, sexy marine blouse, then, AI can use that to say, by marine. Is it a color? Is it for swimming underwater? Okay, given the context of where they are, they probably mean marine as a color more so than like an underwater swimming type thing. So, AI is great at helping you interpret the intent, and then linking that intent to something on the back end where you can serve something useful to the consumer. So that works in things like search. It also works in things like customer service. So, let's say someone says, my order didn't arrive, I'm super mad. AI is great in determining the consumer's intent is to get help about an order that has been delayed, and can automatically and very quickly provide responses about that.
Got it. No, AI has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Would you say that AI has changed or reshaped kind of, I guess, your role within the company or industry? Would you say that your role or has changed at all?
Fundamentally, I don't think that AI has changed the role of software engineers, engineering managers. Our goal has always been to build useful things for users. So regardless of what kind of engineering you're in, it could be mechanical, electrical, software engineering, the goal is to build something wonderful and useful for someone to use in a productive way. Maybe it just makes them happy, or, maybe it solves a real problem in their life. But that is the goal. I don't think that AI will change that goal. It may make us more productive in the sense of like a lot of the manual repetitive work in software engineering has been solved with AI. And, it's right now, the technology isn't that great. I can always tell if someone on the engineering team is, using AI to either like write their test cases or, or write something. I can always tell. But that, as, more people use it, that part will improve. But, so the repetitive work of like writing the same code, or, like maybe 5 years ago, you built something similar, AI will help us with that. But as far as figuring out what people need and making something that fits their needs that they like to use, I think engineers will be doing that forever.
Got it. We still need a human.
Right. Or you need someone who can understand you, one person to another. And especially with innovative things where this is new, this hasn't been done before, you still need a person to think new thoughts. Right now, what we have with AI is trained on things that have already been done before. So it's not thinking new thoughts. It's not making new and original things. And where the state of the technology is right now, you still need humans to do that work. So with AI, we free up people's time to spend more time on creativity and being productive around, something new that meets an innovative need.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that, Antoinette. AI has been a huge topic within our podcast. And another huge topic has been security. Security is a big concern in online retail. What are some of the current biggest threats today, and how are you solving them?
Okay, sure. So we always have our OWASP top 10. So that's like your basically like your online software engineering top 10 security threats. That list has been out for several years. It hasn't changed. But I think what we are starting to see is one, more social engineering and more automated social engineering. So, you even see the shift in what we thought was sort of like the gold standard of authentication, which is two-factor or multi-factor authentication. And you see, okay, well, you send somebody a text message, they get their phone, they key in their text message. Now we see companies even starting to shift away from that, as being less secure than maybe having the phone scan a QR code. So, that's one of the most, common things, which is as we take a couple of steps forward on the security or the authentication side, the bad guys, the criminals on the other side are also taking their step forward in how to defeat that or how to get around it. And while we may do everything we can from a technology standpoint, there's always the human user who can, like if they're unaware, can kind of circumvent things. So I think the biggest thing that we can do, as an industry is educate people who may have less technical awareness on how these tools are used to protect them, how helpful they can be, why these things are in place, and the level of protection and privacy guarantees that they provide. Because the more consumers adopt these, the more consumers are, compliant with what the requirements are and consistently being suspicious with things that look odd and not engaging with those things and sort of resisting, the harder, the criminals will have to work to sort of take over someone's account or to infiltrate something they're not supposed to.
Got it. And what are some ways that we are educating the consumers that you guys have found that works?
Yeah. So I think a lot of times what works is receiving information from a trusted source. And this, I would love if we could do a better job on the technical side. Social media has done a great job of putting information out there, and we can't always guarantee the quality or the accuracy of that information. But, let's use that to also educate people about safety and security in a way that is easily understandable and not fear mongering. We don't want to say, oh my God, someone's constantly trying to break into your phone or someone's going to like hack all your devices and make your house catch fire. That's not the goal. But the goal would be to say, like, here are the easy tools that you can use day in, day out to, protect your information, to protect your payment information from unauthorized use and get that in their hands, and to me, social media is a great tool for providing that. And then other trusted sources as well. And I see a lot of technical articles on it. So if you're into technology, you have that information. But what I think would be great is to see sort of, broader expansion of putting this information into consumers' hands. So just like people are, when you leave your house, you automatically think, I'm going to lock my door. And when you start your car and you get out of the car, a lot of times it's a no-brainer. Take the key with you, lock the door. I would love the point where we get to, on the technical side, where security is like almost a passing thought, right? Like people do it automatically every single time. And the tools are as easy to use as it is a key to lock your door.
Got it. Thank you, Annette. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to break into the e-commerce software engineering? What advice would you give them?
It's such an easy field to get into because, I feel like the training that you need, we may be going a little over, but the training that you need is readily available. So from the sense of like, how do I pick up the skills that I need? I mean, you can get like free classes on Udemy. They have so much available with Khan Academy and even on YouTube about, understanding software engineering basics. Depending on who you work for or who you want to work for, the Leap Code training could be helpful, if you want to work for an organization that does that, that values that kind of training. There's also, once you have a little bit more skill, check out what kind of open source groups or teams may be looking for someone to go in and fix a simple problem with a pull request. So, I would say you might go the more technical route, focusing on your leak code skills, or, the more contributive community route, which is, looking to get involved with open source community and show your skills that way. But ultimately, it's about understanding what you want to do and where you want to do it.
Understood. And so when it comes to, technology is ever changing. It's always changing. So how do you stay up to the latest technology?
Read and do. So, I'm constantly, every day when I get up, first thing I do is I read the news, especially, technical news. I look at other products that I admire, other companies that are doing things with technology that I think are great and amazing. And then I try to do it. And, our team tries to do it. And, so that's really it. Just, try to learn. And then once you feel like you've learned a little bit, just do it.
Got it. And how do you not get overwhelmed with that?
In terms of pulling in new things.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really think, my ultimate focus is on building something that is useful to people and that people delight in using. So I'm not interested in learning new skills just for the sake of doing something new. I don't want to take the same thing that works successfully and has worked successfully for years and just say, oh, there's a new way to do it. Just do it the new way. What I'm looking for is to solve problems that are, out there that don't have a solution. So, you learn about it, you try to do it, and you think, can I use this to solve a problem for someone? If not, then it was just a fun exercise you did over the weekend. And if you can, you bring that to your potential business partner or your user and say, hey, I've got an idea. Show it to them. What do you think of this? And then you see where it goes.
Understood. Thank you for sharing, Antoinette. What would you say is your most rewarding part of your career so far? You've had about you said 20 years of experience. What's been the most rewarding?
Definitely working with awesome people. I love technology, and I am so fortunate that every day I get to spend all day talking to other people who love technology just as much as I do.
Got it. No, people are awesome. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of career advice, what would it be?
Oh gosh, so many things, but one piece of career advice. Number one, buy more Amazon stock. Number two would be, don't let someone else's expectations sort of supplant my own expectations for myself. I feel like, for myself and for other people, especially women in the industry, a lot of times we're looking for someone else to define what should be expected of us. Even though you're perfectly capable, if you're young, you're new in the industry, or, maybe you're sort of underrepresented in the industry and you're like, well, I'm not here to set standards. I'm here to meet and exceed standards. Don't be afraid to set your own standard. And, keep in mind that the most important judge of success for what you're doing is yourself. You define what success looks like for yourself. You define the level of performance that would, say, okay, this is good. This is good for me. And it's good because I say it's good, because it meets and exceeds my own expectations. So, going back, I wish I had learned that a lot sooner.
Got it. No, and I just love that. Being a woman as myself and, being in the tech industry as well. So I totally understand that. Antoinette, today's been a pleasure to, get to know you a little bit better. And if people are looking to connect with you, where's the best place to do that?
Find me on LinkedIn. So, I try to check in there a couple times a week. So definitely find me on LinkedIn. I'm Antoinette Wapatira, and I don't turn down connection requests. So give me a shout out, say hi.
Awesome. And that's where we connected. So that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll be sure to put that link in the description. But as I said, Antoinette, today was a pleasure and I'm excited and yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.